bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game.
Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. Tuesday, October 10th. Just 283 days into the new year. 82 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planets, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Cool night tonight. That's right. Our guest tonight, Anthony F. Sanchez. We're going to talk about interdimensional and parallel world contact with ET. Doesn't get any better than that, does it? Man, love our conversations with Anthony. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow night, John DeSouza is here, and we're going to talk about his new book, Clear Hearers. Thursday night is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. All right. Yeah. It's October 10th. So, therefore, you're probably going to be so inclined to make a few phone calls tonight into the show. That's cool. I get it. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. We'll do all of that a little bit later. I kind of warned Anthony about what today was. So, I can't control, the fate or not. This is your show. So there you go. It's kind of what happens there. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Simple, at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black. Jimmy Church Radio. Follow, like, and subscribe over on our website. Click on those funny little 3 buttons that are there. And the sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter, which is what we use. We also have a couple of chat rooms over in Spreaker, or, of course, the fabulous, world-famous chat room over at KGRA, the planet. All right. Email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Also, if you have any questions or comments during the show tonight, hashtag F2BQ. All right. Oh, man. A couple of things really quick. The fires are still raging here in Southern California, down in Anaheim. Yesterday, we'll get to Northern California here in a second, but down in Anaheim, in the Anaheim Hills overnight, it's now somewhere in the neighborhood of about 24 homes and structures burnt there, 5% contained. It's out of control. And you have to understand where this fire is burning. It is in the middle of the suburbs. And it is a miracle that there isn't more damage than what has already happened. But up in Northern California, in Napa, and what is going across there is absolutely incredible. We reached out to my little brother, who lives up there. Also, my other little brother, both of them, Mike and Danny, that live right in the middle of it. And didn't hear anything back until today. Their phones are out. They are okay. We didn't get anything else than that. Thanks for checking in. We don't have any phones. but apparently he's got internet because he reached out to us through there. So my direct, family that is up there in the middle of it, so far is okay. But up there, when you have 70, 80,000 acres burning out of control, way over 1,500 structures, homes, families, 20,000 evacuations, more than that. Just devastation going on right now, and the winds have been kicking up. We woke up today here in Burbank, and there's just, what happens here. I wanted to mention this to everybody around the country because you don't experience it really in most parts of the country, maybe Texas and Arizona and New Mexico at times. But here in Southern California, when we get these winds that come in, they call them, the Santa Anas, and we get them every year, and they're severe. But what happens, because we don't have any rain here, we have very little rain, so there's dirt and dust everywhere. It's just constant. It just never, ever, 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 ever stops, the dust. And when these winds kick up, everything gets covered. So our entire back patio today and yesterday, I'm talking about, you look down at what was white concrete in the back patio, and it's brown. It's just thick covered dust everywhere. Everywhere you look, it's just covering everything. And that's what's going on. These winds are severe. And when a little spark happens with these hot winds and everything is dry, it just explodes. And that's what we're dealing with. And we do deal with it every year, but it's always different, and the communities that are affected are different. And here we go. So our thoughts and prayers are with everybody. Anaheim and Northern California. Anthony was talking with me earlier, and he could barely talk. He's coughing. He's like, dude, the smoke, it's just so hard to deal with. So we'll talk to him about all of that here in just a bit. All right? Okay. Where am I at? Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, by the way. We do have over 730 archive shows right there. Custom apps, Apple, Android, everything that you need, all platforms, just $2 a month. Great software, great apps. You can just access the archives, and everything runs smooth, and it's great. Every platform, it's right there, $2 a month. Just click on the podcast banner. And you can also go over to the membership section on our site where you get the Bunker Cam, commercial-free downloadable archives, and all that fun stuff, and T-shirts and hats, and the Bunker Cam and email and all kinds of things. So you can do that over in the membership area. And you get to call yourself an official Fadernaut at that point. That's where you can say, hey, I'm a Fadernaut. And that's all you got to do. Just go over to the membership area and get signed up. You can do it for free and can go all the way down to a yearly subscription. Everything is there. What was I going to say? Our T-shirts and hats, we're at the, I just want everybody to know, we are constantly, it just seems like we are always printing more shirts and hats. It's a never, and we are never, ever, ever caught up, right? Every month it's like we run out of this, we run out of that, and we're at the mercy of our vendor. But anyway, so everything will be caught up finally for another month, I should say. Everything will ship out this Thursday and Friday. Okay? So if you've been waiting patiently, we ran out of 4X, we ran out of 3X, we ran out of smalls, we ran out of hats. So it just like stopped everything. And one thing got fixed, another got fixed, and here we go. But was over at our vendors yesterday, and we're going to take delivery tomorrow, and we'll start shipping again and get done this Thursday and Friday. Okay? All right. Don't forget to check out all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, New Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, and now Bearing Optics, Night Vision. Okay? Now, Life Change Tea, the promo code is Fader. River Moon Coffee, the promo code is F2B Blend. Ancient Life Oil, Fader, Fader. Sacred Skulls, Jimmy will get you a 15% discount. Okay, very simple. Bearing Optics, all you got to do when you call, just say you're a Fadernaut. Because Alec Hoffman over there at Bearing Optics, thank you to everybody that has ordered your night vision goggles, man. Oh, your life is about to change. I cannot wait to hear everybody calling into the show. Dude, You won't believe what we saw last night. Right before the show tonight, man. Me and my wife, right before the show. Last night, my son, we were out. You're going to do all of those phone calls with me from now on. I cannot wait. And just imagine, right? All of the conferences that we do, Conscious Life or Contact in the Desert, we're out there doing our thing. All the Fadernauts now are going to be armed and dangerous with night vision, sitting around the table at the Fader house. And everybody's going to have night vision goggles. Nobody's going to be talking to anybody anymore, right? No more conversations. Everybody's going to just be looking up in the sky all the time. It's going to be great. Bearing Optics. Alec Hoffman. Phone number is over on the website. The links are right there. You just click over at jimmychurchradio.com on Bearing Optics. And there it is. Alec Hoffman, extension 105. If you need contact info, just email me directly or email Rita, right? Rita at jimmychurchradio.com. Email us off of the website. You can hit me directly, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com, and I'll send you direct contact info for Alec because you now have an inside guy over at Bearing Optics. He's a Fadernaut, all right? Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, David Lee Roth, 62 years old, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 43. There you go. October 10th. All right. On this day in history, OTD. 1987, it went down. White Snake releases their famous Here I Go Again video. Yeah, featuring two Jaguars parked side by side. Yeah, that was what was in the video. I don't remember much else. I do recall the cars, though, in that video. Yeah, probably, out of all of the 80s, right? And you think about all those great 80s videos, because it was a video world, right? That video comes to mind first. What a statement for the 80s. Fader fact. All right, are you ready for this? Iran's women's national soccer team fielded 8 men awaiting sex change operations back in 2015. And that is a Fader fact. Do I need to repeat that? The Iranian women's national soccer team fielded 8 men on the field. Were playing soccer on the women's national soccer team because they were awaiting sex change operations. They did that back in 2015. Doesn't feel right. Tonight, very special guest, Anthony F. Sanchez is here. We're going to talk about what everybody has been talking about lately, which is interdimensional and parallel world contact with ET. Tomorrow night, John DeSouza is here. We're going to talk about his new book, Clear Hearers. Thursday night is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. And I know you guys want to call, okay, 323-275-9695. Cortana has just tweeted up, you know what, I'm going to, man, the Twitter runs too fast sometimes. Okay, I just retweeted that. I think I did it right. Okay, I just retweeted you, Cortana. Tickets to the Awareness UFO at Awareness UFOs, the Twitter handle, Heart Frequency Conference are available at the door, 50% off with college student ID. The first 10 Fadernauts that show up in the morning on Friday get full weekend passes for free just because you are a Fadernaut. Okay, thank you for posting that up, Cortana. I think John DeSouza is going to be there, right? We're going to have DeSouza on the show tomorrow night. Very, very cool. Okay, where am I? I know you guys want to call in. We'll do that a little bit later. I get that. I really do. It's all good. It's all good. We'll open up the phone lines in just a bit. Okay. This is what I wanted to talk about. And as I hit my River Moon coffee, I want to throw this idea out there. With all those knowledgeable astrophysicists, physicists, astronomers, right? Scientists that are looking to the stars and have put together different theories, hypotheses, Big Bang Theory, the start of it all. And you have to wrap yourself around the idea of, if what they are proposing is correct, that everything, the universe is always expanding and contracting. They have actually suggested that it's going to expand out, it's going to go to where it's going to go, and then it's going to come back in, crush back in onto itself, and go back down to where everything in the universe compacts into a little tiny bit of nothing that you can't see, to the point where it can't compress anymore, and then poof, it's going to blow up and then start the process all over again. Another big bang. Not buying it, but it's fun to think about. Now, although I'm not buying into that, let me take things a step further for you. Digest this. They say that the universe is expanding, right? And it's at a certain rate. They can measure the directions of galaxies and stars and the speed and how fast. And all right, I kind of buy into that. And then when Hubble started to release their images of what we thought were stars so many decades ago, we thought they were stars. Seems like yesterday. And they started blowing up these Hubble images to find out that these stars that we thought were stars weren't stars, but in fact, galaxies. And this is what gets interesting with science. Science, pretty much hardcore science, is wrong. It's wrong. It's right today because we don't have anything else to base things on, so we do the best that we can. But in 5 years, in 10 years, something is going to prove what we know today as wrong. Wrong. Science is always self-correcting itself, right? And moving along. We have a zillion examples of it throughout history. We thought one thing, science comes along and corrects it, and then so the previous theory, previous thought, previous fact is now wrong and is now different set of facts. Like I said, what we thought were stars out there are not stars, they're galaxies. How far have we been able to see into this massive universe? Not very far. Not very far at all. The center of the Big Bang, the center of it. What's going on the other side? We don't know. Can't see it, right? It's too massive. What's on the other side? What's on the other edge of everything? Don't know. You think it's what's to our right or left or up or down and what we can see here? We don't have a clue. All we can do is guess. That's it. Science will tell us in the future what is actually real, but today it is guesswork. Now, let me give you an example. Okay? A fish tank. So you have a fish. You have a fish in a fish tank. And you can have the biggest fish tank in the world. I'm not going ocean yet. Let's just go with fish tank, right? That's us. And a fish only knows what's around him, no matter how far away, you know what I mean? That's it. That's as far as but what the fish does not know is what's on the other side of the glass. Doesn't have a concept. What's above the top of the water, right? Where there is air. Has no idea. It's a totally different world. And in our universe, we can only see to the farthest that we can see. What is beyond that? That's the horizon. We can't see past that. We don't know. We don't have a clue. And neither does any astrophysicist. No brainiac out there. He can only guess. That's it. He can only guess. We need to always recognize that when we are listening to theories about our universe, about the origins, where it's going, how long it's going to last, how old it is, all of this is guesswork. Some of it is pretty good. Some of the numbers are convincing. I can tell you this. Anybody at MIT, anybody at Caltech, anybody that wants to make numbers work on a chalkboard can make the numbers work. They can plug in the numbers and make things work. So the age of the universe, how it's expanding, everything is different. It just depends on who you talk to. No scientists, none of them agree with each other. If you think they're all on the same page, you are wrong. So when you go and listen and you're trying to figure out what is going on with the universe, the origin of things, who created it, how it was created, all of this, pick your poison, pick your guy, and go with that. Because it's going to be different with the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. None of them agree. And that's a good thing. You don't have to agree. Which also brings me back to Anthony F. Sanchez. And tonight, what we are going to be talking about. When we are dealing with these words, interdimensional, we are going into a zone that for some is very controversial, but it's also different from the way that we looked at the UFO hypothesis just 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It's just, it's just a couple of weeks if you think about it. Parallel worlds, science fiction, funny stuff, Fringe, the TV series, right? Today, this is seriously discussed and thought about and figured out in scientific circles. It is. This wasn't something that was even considered or contemplated in any fashion in scientific circles 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Today, it's reality. And it has changed the way that we are looking at the UFO situation. Somebody posted today in Twitter, what is the UFO question? What is the UFO question? If we had the answer to that, there wouldn't be a UFO question. The UFO question is all-encompassing. It's everything. We don't have the answers. We know something is going on. Now, when I see the things that I see, and I know that it's something real, I just don't know what it is. So I need to figure out, is it from a parallel world? Is it from another universe? Is it somehow getting here in some other fashion? Is there life on these ships? Are they just some kind of drone, some kind of probe? What is going on here? Is it something that is tangible? I have seen a couple of craft that seem to me to be metallic and real. Going back to the UFO hypothesis, a nuts and bolts craft that is traveling here from another planet, another universe, another solar system, something, right? Another star system. Is it that, or is it something else altogether? Well, today we are starting to change some of the thoughts that we had in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. It all goes back to everything that I just mentioned with the universe. Multiverses are there. Parallel worlds, the creation of everything. Who is it that you are going to listen to? I say listen to everybody. It is okay to have your mind changed. If something goes against your grain, open up your ears and listen. It's the best thing that you can do. I was speaking with somebody today. I'm not going to say who, but it's one of our favorite guests and author that I love. But about trying to, and it just came up with me. I didn't bring it up. It came back about trying to unite the community to open up your mind to all kinds of things and all kinds of ideas. And his statement, he's probably listening right now, his statement to me was an interesting one. He said, I just feel like we could only influence maybe 10%. The rest, the other 90% of the hardcore people in ufology in our community, and it's vast, are closed-minded. And I disagree with that. But it made me go back against maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm wrong. And it's okay. So now I've got to step back and go, maybe I'm wrong. But see, I have an open mind. I didn't go back and say, no. The other, about 6 months ago, when we're talking about this interdimensionality, this parallel world thing, this nuts and bolts thing, Rita and I were in the car. We're driving on a major street here in the valley. Major street. There's only 2 or 3 of the big ones. We're driving down the street. We're at a stoplight at an intersection. And at that moment, Rita jumps forward. And Rita, she doesn't react to things. She is very pragmatic, and she is things have to happen in front of her physically for her to believe certain things, right? The first time she saw night vision and saw things going on in the sky, well, now she's seen it. So she's cool with that. Well, we're in the car. I'm driving, and she leans forward. She goes, whoa, what is that? And then she follows it. This is out the front window. I didn't see it. Out the front window, and then over to the side of the car, and she's watching out and back. Now, I'm driving. Lights green. I got to drive. I got to be safe. I'm doing my thing. And what she described to me was a round, clear object that apparently came down very, very close to the car. And I think that she said, and she should pop this up in Twitter and maybe answer exactly, but like 10 or 15 feet above the car. Now, let's stop for a second and think about this. Was it a physical situation? Was it something that was interdimensional? Was it something from a parallel situation that just popped into our world for just a second and winked at Rita and then flew off and went back to wherever it came from? Is it that? Right? Or are we talking about something physical? I don't know. I don't have these answers. We need to figure out what's going on. And that's the best part of this community. So I ask all of you, whether it's the creation of the universe and physicists with PhDs, if you want to listen to that, and if you listen to them, nothing is going on, by the way. Or is there something else going on? That's what we have to do. We have to listen to everybody. So with that, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It's all about everything in this community having an open mind. Let's listen to everybody. Let's figure this thing out. We're getting close. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., Tom DeLong is on To the Stars is going to do his big announcement on his live stream. I encourage everybody to go and watch it, and let's see what Tom has to say. And then we'll discuss that Thursday night on Open Lines. Big things going down in ufology, right? I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back with our guest, Anthony F. Sanchez. What's the F for? Always wondered about that. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Gobekli Tepe.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply, and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA. The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter, at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Our guest tonight, Anthony F. Sanchez, author, UFO Highway, one of the great UFO books ever written on the subject. Rocketed Sanchez to the forefront of the UFO community, speaking, and he's got his conferences that he does up in Northern California. Software designer, been working in Silicon Valley, all of that stuff. But the thing about Anthony that I respect the most is that he comes on Fade to Black and he lets it all hang out, and we have the best conversations ever. I'm going to say this. I was up in Sacramento. I'm speaking, and somebody comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, man, check it out. Anthony F. Sanchez is in the front row." I couldn't even talk. I couldn't even be myself because the great Anthony F. Sanchez was staring me down. And I'm going to welcome him back right now to Fade to Black. Anthony Sanchez. Anthony, good evening, my friend. How are you?
Oh, my Lord. What an introduction. Happy birthday, my man.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anthony.
Yep.
Yeah, 29. Never felt better. Right? And,
right.
And did you, I know you remember that moment, right? And,
absolutely, man.
And I got to tell you, I was a little intimidated. I don't get intimidated. Dolan's in the room, right? He's in the back. We've got all, people running around, and you were right there. And I was like, man, because I'll never.
Special thanks to Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Brad Olson, who dragged you up there. I'm sure you were kicking and screaming, but you gave in.
Oh, no. As soon as I heard you were there, Jimmy, I was like, yeah, I am there. And my buddy, my research partner, Rick Prestel, same thing. We were like, dude, we have to go. Jimmy Church is in town. It's like, there's no way we're missing that. And we're like, we were the ones that were intimidated. We were like, dude, that's Jimmy Church.
Man, I couldn't wait. I'm such a fanboy. I'm like, man, can I get a picture? So anyway, and since then, all of the conversations that we've had, all the shows that we've done have been great, and the response has been phenomenal. I think that, and this is my take on you before we move forward. you've come and gone by choice in and out of the limelight somewhat, right? You've gone underground, and you come back, and when you do, you're explosive. Everybody loves to hear from you, but I think it's a good thing because of you haven't been out there week after week after week after week, right? So when you do surface, right, you've got something to say. And I think that is great. And everybody has just always responded to you in such a positive way. And so I just want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Really
and, Jimmy, it's been that way for a reason. When I first came out with my information, I had to recede back into the shadows because it's pretty controversial what I was talking about, the whole Dulce base thing. And I was actually approached by people who said they were from AFOSI, right out of Beale Air Force Base, and I was being threatened.
Right.
And I was talking about some projects, Project Leonid, which is the Low Earth Orbit Nanosatellite Interceptor Defense Project, and they didn't want me talking about that. So, there were reasons why I had to disappear the way I did, and it's only after an amount of time has passed, and I feel like, okay, they're not going to pressure me, and I'm not going to talk about that stuff anymore. I can come back out and just, give the information based on my research in other areas. But with regards to like Leonid, I gave that to Linda Moulton Howe, and she has that now, and whatever information that I was able to dig up, it's over there at her site at Earth Files. And again, so there were reasons why I had to drop out for a couple times now.
Well, and the other thing is, you run a company. You've got a software company that does a lot of different dynamic things. Mm-hmm. You're not just focusing on one thing. You've got radio and broadcast and dynamics processing software and plugins. Mm-hmm. That is complex. You have that, and then you have all of your paranormal software too as well.
Right, which never would have come to fruition had I not been involved in developing prototype software to scan the ultra high frequency to listen in on potential conversations at Area 51 on the perimeter.
Right. I just remembered something. You and I talked about this briefly, but I'm just going to tell the audience this is how much of a doofus I can be at times. But also Anthony as well. And this is what happened like 3 years ago. Anthony contacts me about his broadcast software that he's got a prototype out. And we briefly exchanged emails going back and forth. But I didn't know it was you, right? I didn't know, right? And we, so this, and 2 years later we finally meet, and then I find out about and I was like, wait a minute. It was you 2 years ago, and we had talked back and forth about the software and getting some. You needed comments on it. Mm-hmm. You wanted me to check it out and beta test it and get back to you. And so we had this email exchange that went on probably for about a month, but I didn't know it was you for 2 years. God. I just didn't know. And it was just so funny. And for you not to come out, that was the other thing though. You didn't tell me, Jimmy, it's Anthony Sanchez, UFO Highway. I'm also doing the software. It would have been a different conversation between us. But anyway, just absolutely hilarious how small this world is. And I just didn't know it was you. But you do all of these things too as well. You're not just 100% full-time UFO researcher and author, writing books, publishing out there on the UFO circuit. You've also got this pretty dynamic software company that you're running at the same time. Right.
That's how I make my living. I spent years working at, big semiconductor firms like Intel Corporation, NEC, Hewlett-Packard. I was actually the first corporate webmaster for 3Com in the Bay Area back in the mid-'90s. And so I have a long history with Silicon Valley. I was born and raised in San Jose, and I was programming from the time that I was 10. And now, in my old age, I get to run these cool little software companies. That's how I make my living. I still have consulting gigs every once in a while with like the state of California or, some private sector firms. But for the most part, I'm now, Pro Radio Tools is my one company for the radio stuff. UFO Highway is the book. And then I have the Ghost Hunter apps software. So for the paranormal. So yeah, it's a nice life. I like it. It's, I'm not shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue, but I'm doing okay.
Well, and this is where things start to get interesting, because you have been through all the phases of ufology and the different concepts and theories about what is actually going on out there. And right. I think that we can pretty much draw a few lines in each decade and get some definitions going, where we had flying saucers in the 40s and 50s. And then we had cigar-shaped motherships, in the late 50s and throughout the 60s and 70s. Saw another wave of black triangles that went all the way through the 80s. I even photographed one myself and have seen one. So there's that. And then the last, let's say 10 years, James Gilliland and some of these this night vision stuff that has been going on out there, and the American Indians and the Brown Mountain Lights and different things going around the country, where there are these I don't know what to say is going on. I've witnessed it, but now we are dealing with something that may not even be physical, and then you combine that with Bigfoot. And the appearance of grays and different ETs traveling through walls and ceilings and appearing and disappearing, and there's that, and we're trying to wrap our head around, trying to figure out what's going on. Is it all? Let's start here. Is it all the same? Is everything the same? Going back to Ezekiel and his wheel inside of a wheel in the Bible. Is everything just the same?
No, nothing is the same. I mean, there are so many different considerations when you talk about the UFO question. And tonight we're going to be talking about the interdimensional question and possibility of parallel worlds, even ET and alien contact from other dimensions. None of it's the same. There's such a wide array of information that covers the entire UFO question. When you talk about interdimensionality, the first thing that you have to ask think about is, can a human being survive in the fourth dimension, right? The answer is no. You see, our universe consists of three spatial dimensions. That is, in mathematical or geometric terms, 3D space is best understood as what we know. If you went to high school and you studied geometry, the Cartesian coordinate system, which is a geometric setting where there are values representing coordinates. And this is important. You have the X and Y axis and the Z axis. Now, on a deeper scientific understanding, that Cartesian model needs to be augmented to show our universe, at least mathematically. So our three-dimensional reality, under what is known as Cartesian, then jumps into what is known as Euclidean space.
Right. That's
where all points in three-dimensional space are determined by three coordinates. However, with the Euclidean spaces, we can generalize to understand higher dimensions, and this is where we begin to talk of four-dimensional space, the concept of a fourth spatial dimension. If you ever watch Star Trek, they talk about the space-time continuum. What they're talking about is the unification of time as a variable and space as a four-dimensional continuum, where time, or let's think of it as the variable t, has only a mathematical value, and it holds no primary physical existence. Remember, Einstein once said, time has no independent existence apart from the order of events by which we measure it. 4 dimensions, 3 spatial plus time. And that's how he laid it out in his general theory of relativity. Aliens, ETs, are we being visited from 4-dimensional space? Possibly, but not via metallic-based UFOs or as physical grays, tall whites, reptilians, etc. Not as we know them, which takes us back to that original question. Can a human being survive in the fourth dimension? No. So likewise, a physical, biological alien traveling in metallic-based UFOs cannot as well. You see, a dimension is a direction. Remember the Cartesian model, X, Y, and Z coordinates, defining our physical existence, our physical matter.
And that's easy. That's easy to digest. That
right.
We all get that idea. That is simple. Height, width, depth, right? 3 points. You're going to have a physical model at that point.
And here's where it gets tricky. So in four-dimensional space, there is nothing supporting our physical body. Thus, if we suddenly poured it into a 4D reality, we now have new extra dimensions, and so our organs, our muscles, our tissue, etc., would follow the path of least resistance, and thus we'd most likely transform into a liquid state, immediately dying. But you know what? In a 4D reality, radiation would still exist. Electrical signals would persist.
Right.
Gamma rays, etc. The known properties of the universe would still apply. Possibly there will be some that we're unaware of because none of us have ever existed in 4D reality, and we're still studying that science. But this means aliens consisting of electrical energy could exist and live in a reality that operates on a non-physical but energy-driven, thought-based universe. Now, the question people want to know is, how do these interdimensional beings visit us? How do they communicate? I personally believe that interdimensional beings operate on a higher frequency that they can manipulate to access us in our 3D existence. There are some scientists right now who believe signatures of four-dimensional space are identifiable and that they appear as interference patterns. They claim that small black holes created at the beginning of the universe persist, and now some of them are wormholes. These would be portals from four-dimensional space into our three-dimensional space. They think that black holes act as impeding obstacles that can produce interference patterns in the wake of something like gamma rays. But all of that, what that tells us is that four-dimensional space is something that is no longer outside of our understanding per se, nor can we fully discount that entities from 4D space can make contact with us. Now, a lot of people have stories where they see, now this might be jumping into the paranormal side, but people say they see full body apparitions appear.
Right.
Where are those coming from?
Right.
There are people that say they see shadow figures with electrical signatures. Where are those coming from?
That's right.
There's a possibility that these things could be coming from four-dimensional space, utilizing these so-called, wormholes, or, what we understand them as is these black holes.
Well, I've often thought when somebody mentions, traveling in a wormhole or traveling into a black hole, look, if we go with the Hawking idea here, where everything is stretched out and you now are a string of atoms, right? Well, on the other end, somebody please help me here. How are we reassembled? We're not, man. You're destroyed. But
and it wasn't that long ago, Jimmy, that even Hawking believed that anything entering the black hole was obliterated into nothing. Into nothingness, essentially. And it was just recently that Stephen Hawking himself admitted that in actuality, what goes through a black hole emerges as information, thus supporting this theory that something from four-dimensional space can, in fact, go through a wormhole, i.e. a black hole, and emerge into our reality as what? As information.
That's right. And so thought, memory, light being, if you will, something that is completely energy-based, thoughts, memories, programming, software, all of this ones and zeros, electromagnetic idea. All of that is not going to get destroyed. That is merely information. That I'm cool with, which makes sense coming back into our reality here. Also, if all of that is true, if we accept that as being possible, which I do, then we are also talking about if we use holograms today, right? Right? That's energy. That's lightweight. That is nothing more than just a projection. It's not physical. You can put your hand through it, but yet you see it. And I'm okay with that. And if we accept one, then we have to accept the other.
Right. Binary structures, binary signatures in the construct of light makes sense, as far as information being transferred, between realms where one corporeal being could not exist in another. Because it's not to say that in a four-dimensional reality there are no physical existing beings. It's just that it's unfathomable as far as what we understand as us being three-dimensional beings. We could not exist in the environment. There could be something else over there absorbing the information that we're sending out.
Well, help me understand that for a second about not being able to survive in 4D. Let's come back to that for a second. I just had a thought. You remember the movie AI, Spielberg, right? In the end of the movie, much in the future, when he jumps ahead and the city is now covered in ice. Right? And they go down. And the light beings, remember their ship, the cube that disassembled? That was brilliant, by the way. Spielberg knows something. He just knows something. But anyway, the ETs, those light beings that were here on Earth now checking us out, they're archaeologists, right? They're digging, are beings of light. They're energy.
That doesn't necessarily mean that, because you got to remember this, Jimmy, light is physical at the atomic level. Light atoms. Everything consists of atoms in this universe. Doesn't matter what it is, what element it is. The physicality at the very micro, minute, idea is atomic. Now you have the subatomic, but even at the subatomic level, you still have physical properties. So that does open up a lot of questions with regards to, this existence in a four-dimensional space, and do they have the ability to manifest over here in our three-dimensional space? It's more likely to be a positive as opposed to our three-dimensional forms being able to exist in their four-dimensional space. The reason why that's not possible is because when you go into a four-dimensional space, there's actually other dimensional properties that come into play. Now, I'm not a physicist, so I can't recall all of them off the top of my head, but I do know that what we exist as could not be supported in that environment, and we would literally, figuratively, transform into what we would think of as a liquid state. Yeah, nothing would be supported.
Well, and there is, okay, you know what? We're going to hit a break, so I want to get a couple of these questions in off of Twitter. Scott says, does this mean that aliens could be right next to us and we wouldn't know?
Right. That's an absolute possibility, and there are a lot of people that believe that is the case, that we are constantly surrounded by unseen forms of energy that are essentially extraterrestrial in origin. They're not from other planets, but from another realm, another dimensional realm.
Nancy just said, okay, entity attachments, are they 4 or 3 dimensional?
They wouldn't be 3-dimensional if they're based on something that's visibly physical. If it's an energy. If she's talking like a negative energy attachment, then it would be quite possibly 4th dimensional. in the form of energy, like electrical signals or radiation. For instance, a lot of the people that use the paranormal, that investigate the paranormal, they're using electromagnetic detection devices, right? Like the K2 meter, which detect radio frequency interference or electromagnetic interference. Remember how I mentioned that scientists now believe that there are identifiable interference patterns from the fourth dimension that we can detect because of these black holes and acting as impeding objects that disrupt gamma rays and other type of radiation.
Yes,
that's sort of what a K2 meter is doing. If the physical environment is being affected on that level, then a K2 meter is going to detect an electromagnetic interference. So they're kind of augmenting that whole concept scientifically for fourth dimensional space. So yeah, it could. I mean, I'm not a physicist, but in 3 spatial dimensions there could be energy. I mean, there definitely is energy. So it could be 3-dimensional or 4th-dimensional. That's something that we would have to study, a much further on to try and determine.
Now, let's take a break right here. When we come back, I'm going to continue with Anthony this question about 4D and time and turning us into liquid and us not being able to survive there. We're going to continue with that, but we've got to get into what these objects are that we're seeing in the skies. It's a very interesting side of things. Parallel worlds. Is it interdimensional? Are they physical? Is it plasma? Is it light? Is it energy? We don't know. I think Anthony does. We'll find out after this short break. Stay with us. Anthony F. Sanchez is our guest.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product. What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Anthony F. Sanchez. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Simple enough. The conversations happen. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. We have our chat rooms are always live and open over at KGRA The Planet or over at Spreaker. Everything is real time and right in front of me. Now, Anthony, I got to ask you.
Yes, sir.
What's the F for? Because Richard Bleepin Dolan has already got dibs on the F. So what's the F for?
Sicilian, my friend. It's Federico.
Oh, man, that's not fun. You were supposed to say something just... So there you go. Anthony F. Sanchez. I can't go with the middle initial. I just can't do it. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's, to honor my mom.
Okay, Federico. Okay, now the 4D aspect is one thing, and when we apply time as that fourth dimension, this is where it gets complicated for me. In space, time goes in every direction, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, you're whatever direction you're going in, that is time, as opposed to in space, down, backwards, right, behind. Now it's everywhere. Time is everywhere. It starts to mess with my head a little bit. And if we go into that 4D space, and we can't survive there, which I understand, but our mind could, right? What about a USB drive? What about a digital version of ourselves?
Remember, think about fiber optics, right? Fiber optic cables do what? They send information across light streams, right? It's utilizing glass at a very, very, fine level, and they're sending signals across a channel via light.
Right.
Now, God, we can really get into some cool conversations here, but time is, you have to remember that time only has a mathematical value once you start discussing space-time, because that's when you're unifying that. Remember, we talked about the Cartesian and Euclidean methods or models, right? So when you unify time with either of those, well, essentially the Euclidean model, that's when we start having a four-dimensional discussion. So time, it's like Einstein said, time has no independent existence apart from the order of events by which it's measured. So it gets really confusing, to the layperson like myself at that point. But remember, it's once we start talking about a four-dimensional continuum utilizing time as a parameter in a mathematical form, that's where we get to start. That's where we can begin to draw graphs and visualize the general theory of relativity or parts of it, where we can see folds in space. We can see the effects of gravity in space, where we now know that space can be affected by forces such as gravity. Now, I don't understand the gravitational effect in four spatial dimensions, but I do in three spatial dimensions. just based on what I learned in school. But again, once you start getting into the theory of the general theory of relativity, that's where you really have to be a mathematician and or a physicist to truly get what that means. But that doesn't say that we cannot have a discussion on, the UFO question and the potentiality of four-dimensional beings actually existing and communicating and reaching across their 4D reality into our 3D reality.
And then there is this, when we are literally talking about physical things that people see, including myself and you, these ships, I'm calling them ships, these objects, these some of them I have seen where they appear to be metallic, reflecting. Okay, so we have that issue. So let's put that to the side for a second. Let's let that simmer. And then we have what appears to be craft that are purely light. There seems to be just an energy there. Now, what are we talking about with these light objects that you can see? You can see them with night vision. You can see them with your two eyes. They are there, and if it's our technology, then we are definitely dealing with some black projects that the government is keeping hidden from us. But if it's ET, what are we dealing with?
Right. That's why I always like to have a pragmatic approach towards the theoretical considerations, right? Because one of the things that I deal with as a researcher is I definitely look into black projects. I live right next to Beale Air Force Base, which is the most heavily black budgeted Air Force installation on the planet. And I can tell you that there are technologies that we have delved into that touch on, light properties with regards to propulsion, transference. It gets crazy. Some of the stuff that I've seen, some of the stuff that I've heard, I can't verify everything, but I do know that when we do see some unidentified aerial phenomena that seems to be in the form of light, there's a high possibility that it is extraterrestrial or interdimensional. And again, remember, coming from four-dimensional space, you can't have something physical that's like a metallic-based UFO, but you definitely can have something like a light-based, UFO. Remember when I said how in the paranormal people talk about seeing full-bodied apparitions?
Yes.
A lot of times when they see full-bodied apparitions, they're seeing them in the form of light. They actually describe them. It's like, I saw a woman, and she was standing there, and it was like she had like this luminescence about her. It was in the pitch black. I should have seen nothing. And, we often ponder, where is that full-bodied apparition emanating from? What's the source? Well, maybe that's information being transferred from the fourth dimension. Maybe there's an entity on the other side that once existed in our realm, and they're trying to tell us something. Maybe on a basic fundamental level, they can transfer their thoughts to our reality, or they can transfer ideas, or I have no idea, but information at a very, very basic level can make it through to our side, possibly. Let's consider that there is an advanced civilization that exists in four-dimensional space, and they have sufficiently advanced technology that is far beyond anything that we can understand. Maybe they are coming into our dimension utilizing craft that are comprised of pure energy. And maybe that energy is what we comprehend as light. So when we're looking up into the stars and we see a spacecraft up there that doesn't appear to have a physical body, such as like a plane or what we think of as a traditional saucer craft, but instead we're seeing light patterns up there. Maybe that's what we're seeing. You know, I'm so happy that you are sponsoring this company, or this company that is sponsoring you with the night vision goggles. Years ago, a good friend of mine, he since passed away. His name was Ed Grimsley.
Yep, knew him.
Yeah, Ed and I, and my buddy Rick, we went out to a baseball field out there where Ed lived, and near Napa. And we were using Gen 3 night vision goggles. This is before anybody else was doing this. And sure enough, man, Ed was pointing out stuff to us. You know, we all had goggles, and he would use his laser, and he'd say, look over here, look over here. We'd follow the laser. We would see some strange stuff, Jimmy, that just made absolute zero sense. You see, we would take our laptops with us, and we knew the trajectories of all the satellites, even spy satellites, our own and other countries. We knew where the International Space Station was going to be.
Right.
If the X-37B or a space shuttle or anything was up there, we knew where it was going to be. Well, actually, the X-37B, it was on classified missions, but guess what? We always knew where it was, and everybody would post, oh, just go to these, you'll see it at this time.
Right.
And you know how to find it. But here's the thing. My point is that we saw strange lights up there that were doing maneuvers that are impossible, and they just didn't match up with anything that was known to be in those specific trajectories. So,
well, here's what gets strange. Oh, everybody's tweeting out. They want to know if you're Rick Sanchez from Area 51.
Rick Sanchez? No, I'm Anthony Sanchez.
Everybody's like, it's got to be Rick Sanchez. The famous sighting that I had, right? The green chrome balls, right? Yep. Okay. All right. Let the jokes ensue. I get it. You know, it's my birthday. Have fun. But what was crazy about that sighting is that it appeared to me to be green chrome. That's what I saw. But what was, if it was some kind of plasma ship or some kind of light ship, which again, I'm okay with, but something strange happened. As it was taking off, and I'm looking at it through the night vision, you just brought up the lasers. Mm-hmm. And so there were 4, 5, or 6 lasers that were zigzagging across this object. Everybody's trying to track it, and it's moving quickly. You know, it's, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 miles an hour, or whatever it is, as it is taking off up into space. And I'm watching it through the night vision. When the laser would cross the ship, and a lucky strike, by the way, okay, to have it accidentally, hit the ship. But when it did do it, it reflected and it sparkled, right? So I would see it go across and it would do this sparkling motion, and I would see the laser reflect back, off of the ship. So therefore, the chrome ball aspect of this being a solid ship, which was only the way that I can describe it, it was solid to the point where the lasers were reflecting off of the ship. So now it gets into a whole nother zone here where I'm trying to understand what we are seeing, but it did what it did. It appeared to be metallic, chrome. I don't know how else to describe this. So that takes the whole plasma light being aspect off of the table. Well, you have to remember, even in our three-dimensional space, you still have light as a physical property. Most people don't think of light as being physical, but it is. Remember, we talked about light at the atomic level. Right. Light, light consists of atoms. I remember earlier in the show, you had said, dang it, I lost my train of thought because I was coughing. And I had something, but remember, just take into consideration that even in our three-dimensional space, light is a physical property, and there are some sciences that we're not familiar with because it's reverse engineered alien technology. Just because we're having the discussion about interdimensionality, do not forget that
in our existence. Oh, that's what it was. Earlier in the conversation, Jimmy, you had said that the Hubble telescope, these astronomers were looking at what they thought were stars, and it was over time that they realized, oh my God, those are not stars, those are other galaxies.
Right.
So that we now know. Jimmy, are you aware that they are now theorizing based on certain mathematical formulas? Now, this is coming out of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, right?
Mm-hmm. These
guys actually think there may be more planets in the universe than stars.
Yes. Well, and this is, I don't have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, the other day, here in LA, the big talk radio station is KFI, right?
Mm-hmm.
AM 640. It's where Coast to Coast broadcast at night. And one of the hosts there, Tim Conway Jr., Tim Conway, the Carol Burnett show, his son, Tim Conway Jr., he's got a brilliant talk show. And he does this thing called Ding Dong, right? You call in, he gives you a trivia question and you answer ding or dong, right? Yes or no, right? Okay. True or false. And so he has a lot of children call in. And it's funny. It's really good. Well, so the ding dong question. I'm driving to Coast, by the way. I'm on Coast,
mm-hmm.
and so I'm listening to Conway, and the question was, Jupiter has 8 moons. Ding or dong? And it's like a little 8-year-old kid, right? He's like, dong, and he goes, exactly. Jupiter has 88 moons. Now, think about this for a second, or whatever it was, 68 moons, 88, whatever it was, right. It wasn't 8. Now, so when we are talking about that concept right there, about there being more planets than stars, of course, right? In our own solar system, we have 8 or 9, counting Pluto or not, 10 right. If you want to throw in Nibiru. Right?
Planet X, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, we have 10 and 1 star.
It was actually, again, it was the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, a couple of their astrophysicists who did some math that actually proved the existence of something, a potential 10th planet or 9th planet, excuse me. And they're not talking about Nibiru or Planet X. They're talking about something else so far, yet it is technically within the confines of our solar system. It is mathematically, they know it exists. There's something out there, and they think it could be a massive planet, but it's in complete, utter darkness because it's so far away.
It's so far away, the sun isn't reflecting off of it, therefore it's a black
right.
mass. It could be a binary star, too, as well, that's sitting out there.
No, they think it's a planet, and the way that they were able to determine that was because of the gravitational shift in, I think it was Pluto. They saw Pluto being affected or something to that effect. It was like
You're talking about his name is Mike Brown, and he is an astrophysicist here at Caltech. Mm-hmm. And his math says we're talking about Uranus and Saturn and Neptune that are being influenced gravitationally by the only thing that would do this is another planetary body out there that we can't see. And the only thing that makes the math work is this planetary body out there. Now, he is working on its location. They know its approximate area, right, because of the math and where it should be later and where it has been in the past in this gravitational manipulation that's been going on in our own solar system. So absolutely.
And they say, and you're right, they are from they were from Caltech, and they said it would be 10 times the mass of Earth.
Yes, it's the only thing that makes them
have a normal orbit like what we have. It would be something a little bit more elongated, eccentric. It would be something different.
Yes, and off of the elliptical plane. And so it answers a lot of questions, but the other part for me that gets a little bit mysterious is Silicon Valley. the talk of, and I've done this enough on the show, I'm not going to go that in depth to it with it right now, but quantum computing, qubits, and what that now suggests for the multi-worlds theory and parallel worlds. Because of Silicon Valley and those rich dudes up there talking about us living in a binary artificial reality, that this is now a real possibility. They are saying this because they know that quantum computing works, that qubits work. And the only way that a qubit works is because of the reaction of another qubit, another atom, and its
That's
state.
the other end of the spectrum.
Right. In infinity, just going out in the infinite, parallel worlds to our left and to our right.
So if you had two atoms, so let's jump down to the atomic level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had one, and these were paired atoms, and you separated them to the furthest ends of the universe. What they're theorizing is not even theory. They pretty much believe that
they've proved it. Yes.
Yeah. What you do to one affects the other, no matter the distance.
None.
And that's incredible.
And so if parallel worlds do exist, and they do, they have to, the multi-worlds theory that comes...
I believe in the multiverse theory.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you get into quantum mechanics and quantum theory and the multi-world theory, which is the same as parallel worlds, multiple, all of if this comes into play, then when somebody says that they've seen a UFO, right, that just appear, right, just appear, and then just disappear. It's not that it's demolecularizing, right? It's not that it's disappearing. It is possibly just zipping in and out of our world and going back to where it came from. Is that the contact we are making?
It could be. Remember the movie The Matrix? How the artificial intelligence, this whole artificial world, the robots essentially, were utilizing humans as batteries because of their electrical signatures, right? Remember that?
Yep.
Even in fourth dimensional space, you have atoms. You have an atomic basis for everything. It doesn't matter. You can go all the way to the fifth dimension. Everything has an atomic basis. So now that we have these baselines, everything that exists in the universe, every single one of us carries atoms that were comprised from the time of the singularity. Remember at the beginning you were talking about the expansion of space, how ultimately it's going to collapse in on itself. It'll return to the state of a singularity, and then it's going to burst into another Big Bang.
Yep.
All of those atoms, all the atoms that are in existence now were in existence at the time of the Big Bang Theory. So if we're talking about these quantum realities and the ability for one atom to be affected, thus affecting its a pairing atom, who's to say that atomic properties in the fourth dimension don't have an effect in three-dimensional space and vice versa? So we could be seeing things that we are unintentionally affecting and vice versa.
So is it possible that that would answer a lot of questions where in that parallel world to our left or to our right, there are physical it's a different world. It's a different world than our own, that there are flying saucers, there are black triangles, there are little grays, there are whatever in this other world. In ours, they may not be here all the time. It's not part of our world, but they are literally zipping in to our frequency where we are physically able to see them. They are physically here, but then they go back to where they came from. And in that other world, if we were able to step into it and look up into the skies, we may see flying cars and flying saucers and black triangles as part of that reality and that existence.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's possible. I do, but remember those, Jimmy, it's like what you said earlier when they started to make these discoveries that these stars were in fact galaxies, and then now they're saying that there could be more planets than there are stars. That opens up a whole new chapter in this discussion, this UFO discussion, because you are now, I mean, and that takes Drake's equation and proves how antiquated it is and shows that it needs to be rewritten and rethought from the ground up, because there's a lot more out there than we could even conceive of, So I do believe that when people say they are seeing grays, they are seeing reptilians, they are seeing tall whites, they are seeing Nordics, they are seeing whatever, blue avians.
Mantis beings.
Mantis, exactly. I mean, those things, I believe that these entities do exist. I do believe that they are coming to us, in what form, I don't know, but I mean, definitely in anything that we see as physical, right? Like a gray alien. I don't want to jump into the whole Anunnaki discussion, the Ajiji or the Dulce base with the gray aliens in existence there, or the ones in Alice Springs or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
But these are creatures that are based in a three-dimensional continuum that we, the same that we existed. So they're physical, just like us. But man, Jimmy, four-dimensional space, there has to be something to it. There has to be something that we can't comprehend that could possibly be make communication with us.
Rita just texted. She said, F is ferocious. That's what the F is for. See, this we got to take a break right here, but the concept of the bar in Star Wars, right, with the multitudes of different species all getting along, and everybody just looked at a little bit different and more freakier than the guy next. That is what we are. That has to be the universe, right? That just has to be the way that it is. So I cannot, when somebody is comfortable with the grays being here, okay, all right, but that cannot be all that there is. It's impossible. It's got to be infinite. The amount and difference of the species that are out there that are visiting Earth, have in the past and are visiting now today, are completely different. Different planets, different solar systems. Maybe.
Right. Jimmy, I know we got to go to a break, but really quickly, FAST, the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope that they built in China, which is massive by comparison to Arecibo in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Only Chinese scientists get to use that thing. They built it in a matter of 2 years. They displaced an entire town of hundreds of people. What the hell did they build that thing for? It's an antenna, and I have sources that have told me they are using it for the purposes of communication, two-way communication.
I believe that communication goes on today, and they are trying their best, and I'm talking about the media, to let us know that these fast radio bursts and this communication that is going out, them reaching out to us, we know what's going on. And I'm telling you, the next announcement that's going to happen, Anthony, is going to be just that. It's going to be, we have been communicating for a long time. This is what's going on. That's what's next. This is part of the drip, drip, drip. Our guest tonight, Anthony Ferocious Sanchez. We'll be right back. Stay with us, everybody.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hi, I'm Matt Ray for U.S. Gold Bureau. I cover the market daily. No matter how strong it gets or what long-term predictions say, you can count on one thing as certain. There will be another crash. It will affect your assets. And when it happens, wouldn't you rather be 2 weeks or even 2 months ahead of the curve? Well, Wall Street insiders have been quietly converting their assets into gold for the last few years. Now it's your turn. Buying gold and silver is easier than buying stocks with the U.S. Gold Bureau's Investor Guide. It's free, and you learn how to buy precious metals in or out of an IRA or 401k retirement plan. Your investment shipped directly to your home and is 100% insured and guaranteed. You control your investments and shelter them against the stock market, politics, and unknown threats. Act while your dollar is still worth something. Call U.S. Gold Bureau, 800-885-GOLD. U.S. Gold Bureau, 800-885-GOLD, 800-885-GOLD. Call today.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRAradio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Somebody just tweeted out, it's Anthony Fade or Not Sanchez. Everybody's trying to figure it out, Anthony.
I can't come up with anything clever.
Yeah, there you go. Anthony. I'll go with Fade or Not. That's cool.
I like it.
Yeah, me totally. Now, I've got a bunch of questions here. One of them, everybody will dabble here when this conversation arises. And Jordan says, what does Anthony think about psychedelics and the connection to parallel worlds?
You know, I remember years ago reading up on Terence McKenna.
Yep.
And that guy was just brilliant. And I truly believed in some of the, if not all of the things that he was professing, which essentially, when you boil it down, is that our mind can be affected to the point that we can peer into another reality. Whether it's the fourth dimension, I don't know. But I do believe that psychedelics hold the key to peering into other realms. And if you look at so many of the indigenous groups across the planet that still utilize psychedelics as part of their religions, or, like the shamans, and in Mexico, you have the curanderos who utilize what's the God, I'm at a loss for words, but ayahuasca. They have ayahuasca and they have peyote, and they're not abused in the sense of how we would typically think of a person abusing drugs to achieve a high. They're used for the purposes of seeking deeper knowledge. They go on these vision quests. That's where the term vision quest comes from. I do think that there's a potential for psychedelics to open up the mind. I mean, they're always talking about the pineal gland, being our third eye, and that it gets heavily affected. And I don't know the science behind it, Jimmy, but man, I do think that there's something to it, because there's so many people that have professed the benefits and the effects of psychedelics on being able to achieve these deeper levels of thought.
Yeah, the experiences that people have on ayahuasca and DMT are nearly identical. Right. That's the trippy thing. They don't have to know each other, right? They write about their experiences and what they see and what they do and who they communicate with and what's going down and the intention of it all. Mm-hmm. And they are nearly identical. Not acid, not LSD. You're just tripping, right? That's a totally different thing. Nobody's going to have the same experience. But when it comes to DMT and ayahuasca and where they are going to, that is truly a parallel world, another dimension. They're experiencing the same thing, and with the communications, it's nearly identical every time. That I find interesting. When
and they talk about going into this dream state. When they're doing when they do ayahuasca and peyote. It's so funny that they would say that, because I think that our body, on some physical level, can manifest it. Without the use of ayahuasca or peyote. I think that you know how they say when you exercise, you generate all these endorphins, mm-hmm. and you can stave off like depression, or you know what I'm talking about? Yep. There have been times in the past where I would work out like mad. I mean, I'm really heavy now, but way back, 10 years ago, I wasn't, and I used to lift weights. I used to do, yoga in the morning, weights in the afternoon, weights in the evening. I would work out a lot. During those times, I swear to you, Jimmy, I would have the freakiest dreams. And me being a software developer, I would struggle during the day with problems, right? Because you have all these distractions, when we're awake and we're at work, right? Like when I used to work at Intel Corporation, I'd be bombarded with stuff all the time, but I would have problems that I needed to focus on. So after I would spend an entire day at work and then, 3 times working out, like one time, and usually, like before I would go to bed, I would lift weights or whatever, right?
Yes.
During my sleep, I would have such clarity, and I would have dreams, and I would problem solve in my dreams. And it wasn't stressful. It was like most people, they don't want to dream of their work, obviously. But to me, I've always saw my software as like puzzle solving. And I like doing puzzles and those types of things, right? So in the dream state, it was almost like it was like I was physical. I could literally get physical within my dreams and pull from my brain and manage to just achieve super clarity, and literally wake up the next morning having solved the problem that was, that me and my entire team were struggling with at work or whatever. So I do think that when you go into the dream state and utilizing something like ayahuasca, maybe you can even go into a deeper reality that we just don't understand.
Yeah. One day, I'll go on the record. One day, I'll check it out. I have to. I don't know if it'll be DMT or ayahuasca. I think ayahuasca is, that's a commitment. Yeah. But DMT, it's 10 minutes. So at least you can dip your toe in the water, right? And then get back out pretty quick and get back to normal. But yeah, I do want to check it out. This is, You had your sighting at when you were younger, next to the Air Force Base right there, the Army Airfield. And so that was a physical sighting. That was a physical ship. What do you think?
You're talking about 1981 Moffett Field. I was coming back from a San Francisco Giants game with my dad, my uncle, and my little brother.
That's right.
And we were on, I think it was 280. We were coming down, or whatever it is that parallels Moffett Field. I haven't been to the Bay Area in years, so I don't remember. But we saw a physical craft hovering outside the hangar, the doors of Hangar 1. This thing was so wide, it was wider than the hangar. Now, that was a physical craft. That was something, obviously, from our, three spatial dimension reality, right? Our 3D reality. But what it did do, Jimmy, was it disappeared within an instant, and it left what appeared to be a vapor in the shape of what had been there just previous.
So
that was.
What do you think? And I don't have any issues with that. I really don't. Yeah. But what do you think is going on? Because we were just up at James Gilliland's ESETI, and lots of lights and things, and just an extraordinary 4-day experience up there. But one of these things that we saw, it was during this like a 1-hour period where things just really got out of control. There was lots of stuff going on in the skies, and it was just tremendous. But all of a sudden, from behind us, because the mountain is in front of us, you're always facing the mountain, but behind us, I would say somewhere between maybe 3,000, 4,000 feet. Not that high, not the satellite, stuff that you're seeing going up, but low. And it's flying over us, and you could see a shape. This was, I'm just going to say it. It was like a flying saucer glowing, but it looked a little bit metallic, and it was like blue. And then it went a little, as it went past us, it was pink. But anyway, it's a disc, and it's flying over us, pretty good size. And as everybody's, whooping and hollering, and we're looking at it, right as it gets right over us, and again, for anybody listening to me right now that is doubting or is questioning my sanity or anything else, there was 100 people there witnessing this, and it was definitely low, and it had shape. Anyway, right as it got over us at 12 o'clock, it flashed us like a camera flash, and lit up everything. Just lit up. It was like, holy crap. And so as it went past us, and we're all looking at it, it kind of, it was like sky blue, and then went to a little pink, and it was a flat disc, and then it just disappeared over the
that
horizon.
Sounds like a beautiful experience.
Oh, man. That was Steven Spielberg stuff, man. That was Devil's Tower at the end of Close Encounters. It was crazy. And I don't want to sound like the crazy guy. I'm really glad that we had witnesses and everybody got to experience that. But now we're dealing with something that is physical. Now we're back to the physical side of things. I don't know. It was wonderful to experience, but I have a hard time trying to describe it to people, and everybody wants to know, well, was it us or was it, them? The question I always have for everybody, I don't know what's going on with this. Is it possible, again, that this is just a parallel world situation, that this wasn't necessarily something flying from another universe and arriving here on our timeline in our world, but it could be something interdimensional or from a parallel world? And then
I do think that there are locations that are very special, right? You have Sedona, you have ESETI, right, with James,
right,
and then you have places that we're never going to get to experience, like Skinwalker Ranch, right?
Right.
Just talking with my sons just yesterday, we were talking. They were asking me, or my son was saying, "Dad, there's this guy. He started out, in Vegas with these hotels or something. Actually, he started out with laundromats. His name is Richard Bigelow Aerospace. And my son was like just blown away that I knew who this guy was. And I was telling him, I said, he bought Skinwalker Ranch. And why did he buy Skinwalker Ranch? Because something was happening there. I mean, the whole George Knapp story, everything that went on there with the people that previously owned the land. It dating back to the Native Americans who had their stories of the skinwalkers and stuff. There are areas that, for some reason, are strange, and they have these properties that lead people to believe that there are vortexes, and they could be interdimensional in theory, right? Or they could be, Lord knows. But I think that what you guys saw there at, it's people have already seen. Do you remember that show with Ryan D. Buell years ago? He had the Paranormal State. It was one of the first paranormal shows that was on television. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of these shows, they like to really sensationalize a lot, right? I felt that one of the most genuine shows that I had ever seen was when that group of young kids from, Penn, I guess they were from Penn State, they went over to East City Ranch with James. Mm-hmm. You could literally see it on their faces. At least in this one particular episode, they had no clue what they were getting into. They were like surrounded by UFOs, potential cryptids. And the looks on their faces during that particular episode was like, there ain't no producer telling them what to do. Stuff is happening around these guys, and it's affecting them, and you can see it. And, I've spoken with James before. James had like a podcast years ago, way back in 2012, 2013. He had me on his show, and I had a great conversation with him. And he extended me an invitation out to the ranch. I should have went. And it's been one of my dreams to go to East City Ranch, and I saw the pictures that you were posting. And I was like, "Oh, Jimmy, I'm so jealous! I wanted to be there." That's one of those special locations.
There was, when we're talking about parallel worlds and interdimensionality, it's very important to not only have an open mind, but it's very important to realize that the potential exist, and then you get proof. And Rita took this amazing post up for everybody so Anthony can see this too as well. This picture that she took. Now, we're up there flying photographs everywhere. Snap, cell phones and cameras and video and all kinds of different media is being shot, right? And so Rita is taking a series of pictures, and then the pictures before, of which there were hundreds, and the picture after this particular image were all normal. This one image that was taken in the middle of this medicine wheel, it's hard to explain, but that doesn't matter. What she took was split. The image is split down the middle. On the left side, normal, right? Mm-hmm. Normal. And then there's this black line that goes down. And then on the right is a strange version of the same scene. Everything is different. It's a little darker. It's a little strange looking. It's a little bent, and it's digital. Now, all of the pictures that she has taken since have been fine. Everything before that was fine. This one image is this twisted view, two views of the same shot, and it is bizarre. And I'm telling you, she captured. There's no question. You look at it, and it is a parallel world, and it's divided with this black line, this fuzzy black line that goes down, and it's like you're looking. You ever see the TV show Fringe?
Yep. Right?
So you have us, and then you have the other strange world, right? The red world, or whatever you want to call it. It's like that. And
this photo was taken at ECETI?
It was taken at ECETI. We've blown it up now. We have it like 4 feet or 5 feet by 5 feet. We have a large image of it. And I look at it, and we printed a large version of it. And you just look at this, and if you ever wanted proof, it is one of the most fascinating images that I don't have it on my drive in here, Rita. Can you please post this up in Twitter? And Anthony, what's your Twitter?
It is UFO Highway Book, at UFO Highway Book.
Okay. And so just follow us right now. Do you follow me? Okay, let's not do this on the air, but just go and follow.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Okay, I'll follow you too as well. And go to hashtag F2B and get in there. Rita will post this image here in just a second. But it is unbelievable. Now, okay, so let's go back really quick to these situations where, which I outlined at the beginning of the show, where we've got these definitive versions of ufology over the years. Going back to the original UFO hypothesis, which was a nuts and bolts craft traveling here. With everything that was going on in the 40s and the 50s, there was definitely, thousands of sightings and photographs, eyewitness testimony. There you are. Okay, I'll follow you right now. Boom. There you go. I think I followed you. Did I follow you?
I believe so.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Rita, post up the ESETI shot. She's probably doing it now. And was there the possibility of those craft, again, I don't think that they were traveling from another universe or another solar system or another star, that this could have been, again, we were trying to wrap our heads around why we couldn't catch these things. We had the Foo Fighters, right, in World War II. Right. Now we couldn't figure out what was going on. Is that an example of something that was, interdimensional or a parallel world?
I strongly believe that it could be. I do. Simply because we now know that some scientists can detect. They have these. Remember, we talked about earlier how they have these interference patterns that they can detect. Well, that they can detect information potentially coming from four-dimensional space. If that is real, like they're saying it is, then why not? Then why not, have the possibility of craft that we see, whether they're in the form of light or some other physical property, not coming from four-dimensional space.
We need the concept of parallel worlds. It wasn't around in 1940. We were trying to chase these craft. We were trying to shoot them down. We were doing everything that we could to get answers. We didn't know if it was Russian. We didn't know if they were coming from Mars. We just didn't. We didn't have these answers. Do you?
It could. Well, here's the thing, though, Jim. Remember. Any sufficient. This is Arthur C. Clarke's 3 laws. The third law is any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. In the 1940s, in the 1930s, you had people practicing in the paranormal world or the alternative spiritual world. Some of them were claiming to have made contact with beings that were not human, right? Aleister Crowley and the what was the name of the it looked like a gray alien, the being that Aleister Crowley was.
I'm trying to think of his name. It doesn't matter, but he drew out. Yeah,
right. So was that an interdimensional being? Was he channeling that being from another reality? Was that something that was physically coming into our existence? So, I mean. Yeah, they didn't understand. Maybe they didn't understand the science, but they knew how to practice at a specific level. If it was a reality, if this was a reality that they were able to channel these beings through thought. Remember, also when I had mentioned that electrical energy could exist and live in a reality that operates on a non-physical but energy-driven, thought-based universe. Could we be powerful enough at a subconscious level, or even at a conscious level, to manifest something from another reality? Can we do that with our brains? They say we only use 10% of our brain.
Right.
There could be individuals like Einstein. I don't know.
His name was Lamb.
Lamb, that is right. That is right. So if you look up Aleister Crowley and you look up the entity Lamb, that looks like a gray alien to me.
100%. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Now, when we come back off of the break, this is where this conversation is going to take an interesting turn. You have been developing software along with Stephen Huff for paranormal research and contact with the other side. I've always said that's another dimension, that's another parallel world. It's a world that is existing right now around us all the time. You have been developing the software, and you've been making this contact for a very long time. So we're going to take a break right there. And when we come back, we're going to talk about this contact that you have made. The software itself, how many versions, how many people are out there using this right now?
You know, I can say that I have over 10,000 active users around the world of my software right now.
And they're making contact as we speak.
A lot of them are. You can see the videos that they post on YouTube. I just made a movie called Haunted Minds, and that movie details my own personal experiences with the software, tapping into the ultra high frequency, communicating directly with spirits.
See, this is the thing, man. I'm just going to tell you right now, and I told Stephen Huff this. It scares the crap out of me, man. Mm-hmm. It really does, because it's real and it exists, and you can do it yourself. Me, I'm not going there. maybe I will soon. Our guest tonight, Anthony Fade or Not Sanchez. We'll be right back.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Do you worry a lot? If you're forgetful, nervous, moody, or overwhelmed, chances are you're not protecting yourself from the ravaging effects of stress and anxiety. No matter the cause, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, your quality of life, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in as little as 1 to 2 weeks and increase your ability to recall facts, names, and numbers in 4 to 12 weeks. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll feel the difference. Call 1-800-758-8746 or go to calmandclever.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Our guest tonight, Anthony F. Sanchez. Now, we're talking about interdimensional and parallel world contact with ET. That is one of the concepts, the theories, the ideas that may be going down today. With my contact, with what I've seen, with what I have photographed, and night vision and sky watching, it seems like that would be a simple answer to a lot of questions out there. And Anthony, I know that it's almost too broad of a concept. Mm-hmm. And suddenly but it is a simple answer that takes care of light speed, light travel, wormholes, black holes, Einstein, living. You would almost have to be immortal, right? If you were on a spacecraft and flying 10,000 light years. These distances are vast. But if we jump into this concept, certainly intelligent life out there that is thousands, if not millions of years more advanced than us, they would figure out exactly how to get into this quantum aspect and maybe just jump between worlds.
Who's to say that the paranormal is not a facet of a quantum reality?
Well, that's exactly. Right. Nobody has the answer. It's just like I had said earlier today. When it comes to our universe and Big Bang and what we know and what we see, you know what? Nobody has seen the other side of this universe. Right? Nobody. You are talking now. These are bright people. They have lots of research, and they've been crunching numbers and have been looking into telescopes and imaging, and they have their theories and their ideas. Okay, all right, all good. But you know what? In the end, we'll find out that we've all been wrong, and that's really the truth. Now, your software, and you should post it up there on Twitter and the links to it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. Your software has been showing just that. Stephen Huff, who you've been working with for quite a while, his videos, right? Drinking coffee with Steve or whatever he calls them. I don't know. Right. Coffee time. And he's firing up the gear and he's jumping into this and it's just like, what? He's brewing his coffee and it's like, good morning, Steve. It's like, what? And some of this stuff is pretty dark. Some of it sounds sad, but the contact is real.
How easy is it? Do you do it every day?
You know, I don't, because once I started developing software for the paranormal, I realized that I was potentially opening up these, I don't know what else to call them, Jimmy, but portals. Portals to what? Portals to a dark existence? Strange things happen, my friend, when you actively pursue communication with the other side. When you start to delve into this darker spiritual realm. Steve Huff is what we call a spiritual magnet. The guy seems to be able to turn it on and boom, spirits are talking with him and he's having these full-blown communications with something coming from the other side, right? We partnered up and we wrote the SCD-1s. It's an acronym for the Spirit Communications Device number 1. And we also have an SCD-2. We did several apps together. And not only Steve, but when we released these apps and then Steve demonstrated how to use them, people who had never thought to communicate with like a lost loved one or somebody at a haunted location, people who had never thought that they would actually make communication started making communication. And not everybody was happy about it. You had people who were getting answers they didn't want to hear. You had people that were realizing that once they did make communication with like a lost loved one, it was just too emotional. It was just too overwhelming for them to deal with. So Steve, he's trained himself, over the years to know how to handle those types of situations. Me personally, I jumped into it from a scientific perspective. I wanted to understand how to utilize Bluetooth technology on computers to scan the ultra high frequency and see if there's anything out there. And could we make communication with them? I had an app that I wrote called The Ethereal, and that was an app with Steve Huff. And I actually sent out messages in binary format over radio waves. I don't know, can these entities contact, us, through radio waves at a binary level? I didn't know, but I made the app anyway. I tried it out, and you have people all over the world using that app now who swear that they're able to put together messages and send them out over a binary structure across radio waves and elicit communication from spirits. And it's not always happy messages that they're getting back, right?
Right.
But it gets scary at times. I just released a movie 2 months ago. It was my first time ever writing, directing, and producing a documentary. And it took me several years to put it to all together because I went to multiple locations. I went to the USS Hornet. I went to the Manzanita Pioneer Cemetery here in Placer County, and I went to a haunted cabin in Virginia City that was a temporary morgue at one point. I went to the Boulderado Hotel in Boulder, Colorado. These are some very well-known haunted places, and I wanted to see, could we make communication with them? Every single place that we went to, we managed to get communication. We managed to document on film some crazy stuff. And I really recommend that everybody, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. It's a 1 hour long documentary. It's very well done. I had a lot of help with it. It's called, if you go to YouTube and you type in Haunted Minds, it'll come right up. Haunted Minds, the Ghost Box Sessions.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here.
Haunted Minds movie.
Well, it's right there on your homepage, too, for GHOSTHUNTERAPPS.com. It's right there.
Right. It's right there. And I really recommend that you see that, because that'll give you a better idea of how we're now utilizing technology to communicate with the other side. And it all falls under a science called ITC, which is Instrumental Transcommunication. And that's nothing new. That's been around since the 1930s, the 1920s even, with the advent of radio, right? So It's just that now we're taking it to a whole nother level. And Steve Huff is in the movie. Connie Willis, also from Coast to Coast, she's in the movie. And it gets really, really involved really fast. And I jump right into it. But what I try to do is I try to educate people on how to proceed using these types of software applications that utilize Bluetooth technology to communicate across the ultra high frequency. No one's ever done that before. I believe I'm the first person to do that.
And I've got this picture up I wanted to show you of this parallel world, but Rita sent it to me on the wrong computer. So it's got to come over to the other side, Rita. It's so if you could post it up on Twitter. She heard me, but she sent it to me the wrong thing. You've got to see this because the parallel worlds that we are talking about, the other side, if you will, it exists, but we can't necessarily communicate with it because it's on I feel that it's on another frequency, but because we're dealing with, like you're saying, ones and zeros, electrical signal, it's a electromagnetic world. They are able to communicate back with us through different electronic devices, and I think that is an accident. Right? The digital technology that we have today wasn't designed for that, but because they are able to get into, EVPs, into electronic equipment, that's where the communication happens because they are electric, right? They are. Am I making sense here?
You're making absolute sense. And that's why with my newer software, I'm actually incorporating physical recording devices within the software so that not only will it record from your microphone, picking up whatever might be in the ether surrounding you, but it's also picking up whatever's coming from that machine that you are using. So you have two recording input sources. So you have your mic and you have whatever is being generated by the circuitry on the PC or the laptop or tablet. And that's a game changer right there.
Yeah, the frustration that we hear with these beings, the frustration that they can't necessarily go physical. They can't communicate directly with us. We can't directly hear them. They want to. They're frustrated. They're stuck. They want to come back. Maybe they want to go somewhere else. It's just you hear the frustration, the sadness, the terror in some cases. And the warnings. The warnings. And the only way that they can communicate back through to us is electronically. And that is, it's frustrating for them because they can't necessarily control what's going on. You hear evidence of this everywhere. And for me, it's emotional, and you hear children's voices and you hear, women that this sadness because they are in a world that they don't understand. Right. They don't know where they are and they can't do anything about it. And that is, it's fascinating, but very, very sad and emotional at the same time.
Oh, yeah. And, so I think I'm one of the first people to devise a method that would allow entities to communicate back to us. See, what I did was, in my software, one of the things that I do is I utilize the ability to detect fluctuations in radio frequencies, which are the same exact thing as electromagnetic fluctuations. So electromagnetic interference is the same exact thing as radio frequency interference. If you look it up, they're identical. It's the same thing. Just different terminologies when you use them in different, disciplines. So what I did is I scanned the ultra high frequency, the entire range of the ultra high frequency that the Bluetooth devices are capable of scanning. Sans, I think, 3 reserved frequencies that don't have anything. And I programmatically draw a sine wave. If the sine wave comes back with expected parameters on a specific frequency, then nothing happened on that frequency. So what I do is I utilize I employ a method called pattern recognition. So I play audio files. As you know, in the ultra high frequency, there are no radio stations. There's no music being played. There's nobody talking. But what you have are real radio frequencies that are being affected by radiation that surrounds us all the time.
Right.
Like when you use a K2 meter, when you go into a haunted house and the little thing lights up and it beeps, you know that the electromagnetic frequency in that space was affected by something. And if there's no electrical outlets and the power is off in this abandoned facility or whatever, then you know something's affecting it. So that's exactly what I do with tablets and laptops. People that utilize my software, they take them with, because you want to be mobile nowadays when you go to a haunted location. A lot of people use phones, but I prefer to use tablets and laptops, because they're more processing power, better, whatever. And they all come with Bluetooth nowadays. So I said, I was talking about pattern recognition. So I will take, let's say in the case of the one app that I have, which is called the GB1, I take 11,000 micro MP3 files, and each file has a unique audio signature. So each one of those files has something called a GUI ID, which is a 128-bit unique identifier assigned to it. So I will divide those 11,000 files by the number of frequencies that are in the known range for UHF. So in this case, it's I think it's 83 or something. Mm-hmm. So when when the program detects a fluctuation on frequency 2.402 gigahertz, which is the first frequency in the range, it goes all the way to 2.85 gigahertz. In that specific frequency, I then divide it up with a matrix that says from 0 to 100 for signal strength. So it's not just the frequency that you're detecting the signal strength. So remember I mentioned a sine wave that I draw programmatically?
That's right.
If that sine wave comes back with an anomalous, spike, whether it's up or down, outside of the expected parameters, I could take that spike, measure it, and then say, oh, well, this went all the way up to 51. So, well, guess what? On that frequency, at the 51 signal strength, remember those 11,000 MP3s I was telling you about?
Right.
There's one assigned to it. There's one assigned to every frequency for every signal strength from 0 to 100. So we then get these patterns of audio that come back to us. Listen, I did not develop this for ghost hunting. I developed this to see if I could detect alien signatures at Area 51.
Right.
I wanted to see, is there unknown communication happening at Area 51 on the ultra high frequency? Because nobody else was looking at that. And I did find strange patterns emerging. So I know something was happening out there. Well, there was a buddy of mine who's Bill Murphy, who used to be on this show called Fact or Fake Paranormal Files on the Sci-Fi Network.
Absolutely.
Bill was the one that said, hey, dude, you just developed a K2 meter and didn't even realize what you did. And because he's the one that pointed out to me that radio frequency interference was the same as electromagnetic interference. I'm like, holy crikey.
Right,
so we took that software and are now using it across the board in the paranormal world. And they're even using my software on some of those TV shows that you see.
Now, so is this proof that there are parallel worlds and there is stuff around us right now that we can't see that is trying to communicate with us?
In a paranormal discussion, the answer is yes. In a ufological discussion, I can't definitively say affirmative. I can't. But for some reason, when you're having the paranormal discussion and you have a guy like Steve Huff at a haunted location asking questions that are pertinent to the history of the location, and he's getting direct responses in full-blown English, yes, the answer is yes. I can't explain it, but I know that I was able to build the tool to help employ that, the communication within that moment in those types of situations, just using pure science, math, and scientific principle, period. That's all I do.
What did you hear at Area 51?
So at the time, this was what, the end of 2011, the beginning of 2012. I wasn't using words at that time. I didn't use, I had I would have like a database of like 3,000 words, that I would, use for the frequencies and the signal strengths. I wasn't doing that at the time. You know what I was using? I was using carrier signals. So I had all these carrier signals from, radio, and some of them, like antiquated stuff from way back. And I chopped them up into these micro pieces. So I was getting strange, like clicking sounds in repetitive patterns that would come and then they would disappear. An hour later, they would come back up again. It was clickings sounded like they were communicating using like
question and answer.
Yeah, it was the strangest thing. And I need to, what I need to do, Jimmy, is I need to write. It's now 6 years later. I need to write software utilizing the newest technologies that I have devised over the years and go back to Area 51. And maybe I'll write an application that anybody can use in the ufological, research field. Hey, if you want to go to places like Skinwalker Ranch and you want to see if there are patterns that emerge, you think that they may be discussing they may be having conversations on the ultra high frequency. It's possible. The reason why I did that was because of Paul Benowitz. Paul Benowitz claimed to have intercepted radio signals and communication coming from Dulce, the Dulce base.
Right.
So that's where that inspiration came from.
What you need is this idea, this concept. If it was tied into a night watch situation like ESETI or wherever you have a group of people together and we've got, night vision goggles and something is, some are flashing, whatever it is, it's up there and obviously there's something going on. At that moment, that's when you need to be running that software.
Right.
At that moment.
Right. I think I should do that, and I've had people say, hey, whatever happened to that prototype app? And I was like, well, the main, the core of that app is now in these paranormal apps, but the technology came about because of research that I wanted to do at Area 51.
Right. Okay. So what's your Twitter handle?
It is UFO Highway Book. At UFO Highway Book.
UFO Highway. There you are right there. Boom. Done. I'm tweeting out Rita's picture right now. She just got to it.
Awesome.
Okay. You have to check this out. Everybody just check out the image. It's getting retweeted now. Anthony, open that up.
Yeah. Going there now.
Now check that out. That is one frame of a digital. Now, I want to stress with everybody, all of the thousands of pictures that Rita has taken before and since on both sides of this image are perfect. This one image at that moment, this is what was taken, and it just it's bizarre.
Look at that.
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it? I look at this and I get sucked into it. Look at the shadows and the black line that goes down and the way that it is. It's
almost as if the right-hand side of the picture is in the dark at night.
That's what I was saying. It's bizarre.
That is strange. Cool looking picture.
Yeah, and look at the top. That is that's supposed to say Andromedan.
Andromedan, yeah.
In one straight, perfect line, and then it just goes all haywire.
Something happened. And that's at ESETI. There could have been some sort of, electrical signals or excuse me, there could have been some type of electromagnetic interference happening at the time, something from that particular spot. Remember, ESETI is weird, man. That place is beautiful, but it's strange.
It is all that in a bag of chips. And I look at this image every single time I was there. At that moment, we had just finished a ceremony in the middle of the medicine wheel. And, strange things are going on, And so anyway, so Rita runs around. She's taking pictures. And she showed this to me about 15 minutes later, a half hour later, and I'm looking at it. And I know the moment that it was taken. And I'm telling you, this picture sucks me in. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what it is. I definitely think it's two worlds, though, and they were both captured.
I would ask James Gilliland if anyone else has ever had that type of an anomalous photograph happen just out of the clear blue.
Isn't it cool?
Mm-hmm.
That is just an incredible picture. So what's up? What's up next for you? What are you doing? Is there another book? Are you going to be doing any speaking? Are you just concentrating on the software?
I just appeared on George Norrie's Beyond Belief show.
Oh, that's right. How'd that go?
It went great. We had a really nice discussion, not unlike the one that we're having. But we really went into the more conspiratorial side on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was also on Jay Widener's show called Deep Space, and I guess that'll be coming out eventually. I'm also part of the Gaia Network, so I do have another book that's in the works, and it has a bunch of cool information. And I ended up pulling a lot of the writings from that book for our discussion that we had tonight on the interdimensional aspect. So I cover that in the book. I go back and revisit Dulce. I go back and talk about Area 51 and the whole human origins aspect, because that's really where I began a lot of my research on. Most people don't realize it, but my book, UFO Highway, has an incredible section on human origins. And, even Scotty Roberts, who had Intrepid magazine a long time ago, he utilized practically that whole section for the inaugural edition of of Intrepid magazine. And I ended up on. I was interviewed by Prometheus Entertainment for Ancient Aliens.
Right.
And my interview didn't make it onto the show because there was so much that they wanted to compress into that one episode. It's the Eric Von Daniken legacy, but I ended up on the show anyway, which was kind of cool. The human origins aspect is really good stuff, and I want to expand on that if I can. So I had an idea for another book. It was not going to be as big as in long-winded as UFO Highway could get at times, but I was really going to place a focus on bloodlines of the Anunnaki and the Greys and alien-human hybrids.
And I think we're going further and further into this area as the science and the technology behind DNA and being able to trace this back. We're going to find out some things that maybe we're not so comfortable with. If we want to say that DNA is the end all be all in identifiers in our own human history, well, then if you want to go with that and you feel comfortable with that, well, the answers that we're about to get, we're not going to be so comfortable with. What? I mean, just right. What? I mean, what if, some meteorite lands here, we're able to trace some bacteria on this, and there's DNA there, and it's suddenly, right? I think we need to be we really need to be prepared for that.
What if we find micro, organisms on Mars that carry the same genetic pattern that we do?
And because the universe has to be that way. Right. Chemicals are chemicals. That's it, man. Carbon here is carbon there.
Did you hear about the theory that just came out this last week that they now believe that the moon at one point had a potential atmosphere and water and air?
Yes. I just read that. And again, fascinating. The moon has an atmosphere now. Don't kid yourself. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thank you, Jimmy. And thank you, Rita. You guys are incredible, and I love coming on your show. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'm truly grateful.
Yeah, and be safe up there. These fires are no joke, Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Anthony Sanchez, everybody. All of his links are right there in Twitter. The movie is up there in Twitter. The ghost apps are up there in Twitter. We've taken care of everything. If you go over to jimmychurchradio.com, the rest of Anthony's links are right over there. Thank you, Anthony Fade or Not Sanchez. Always a great conversation. This is Fade to Black. All right, you guys want it. I get it. I'll open up the phone lines now. I'll be right back.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night and you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Tepe.
I'm Matt Ray with America's First News. We all know if you're planning a trip, you should shop and compare, right? But why endlessly search the web when you don't have to? Flight Services helps you find the lowest possible airfare. Talk directly to a travel pro right now for the best deals available. Their travel pros have additional discounts not found on websites, and Flight Services provides 24-hour customer service. Call toll-free 844-845-9944. That's 844-845-9944.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The two full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planets. Truly bespoke radio for the masses. All right, I've opened up the phone lines. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Let's go through this as quickly as we can. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, Damien from Planet Earth.
Hey, Damien. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Hey, great show, Jimmy. And you know what? I'm getting these really positive vibes. Things are about to change. I'm getting a good feeling about this, Jimmy. And I've always been wanting to ask you this. What do you think if I ask a really broad question, what do you think is really going on in the direction where we're heading? What can you tell me about that, Jimmy?
Well, my take is, I say this a lot, Damien, and I mean this, that science and our world are starting to collide here. And there's going to be, once one thing breaks, whether it is parallel worlds or quantum computing or fast radio burst, something is going to break. And when it does, all the dominoes fall. Because if one thing is proved, then everything is going to break loose. That's my opinion.
Do you feel I have this feeling, Jimmy, that something's coming, and I'm pretty sure you're feeling the same thing. I don't know what it is, but it's like a positive thing. I have really good vibes about this. And I know you know what I'm talking about.
I do, right? And I can feel it. I can see it. I'm enjoying it, and it's going to break, man. It's going to break, and when it does, it's going to be fun, and we're going to have the last laugh. But then again, we need to be ready for it and comfortable with what we find out. I don't know what it's going to be, right? I really don't.
And it's it might not be so to those we're open to, like me and you and a lot of the Federals are open to it, but the people that are not, it might bring a little bit of I don't know, confusion to the world. But like I said, at the other end, we're going through a transition, and I think it's going to be good at the end, Jimmy. And
it will be, Damien.
I'm just waiting for it.
Yep. And we're getting close. And thank you.
I know we are.
Yeah, thank you for the phone call, my friend, and be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, you too, Jimmy.
Thank you so much. I firmly believe, I can tell that there's something going on. When you go out and see this stuff, and right? All of the video that is happening and everything else that's going on. It's a really cool moment in time. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Debbie from Sacramento.
Hi, Debbie from Sacramento. How are you?
Good. Happy birthday, Jimmy Church.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deb. Thank you so much. 29.
I hope you're having a good one so far.
Spending it with the Fadernauts and having a good time on the show is the best way to do it. And I do know that once I shut down the bunker, that Rita made some amazing shredded barbecue chicken. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get home and make some sandwiches. So there you go. That's what we're going to do tonight.
And have some drinks too.
Thank you so much, Deb. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Oh, Frankie. It's Frankie. That's me. Hey, it's Frankie Four Fingers. How you doing, Jimmy?
Hey, Frankie. How are you, my friend?
Oh, just trying to relax after last week. It was a pretty ordeal that we had to deal with, but I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you, Frankie, and give my best to the family up there. And I saw your tweet earlier. You have me broadcasting in every room. So there you go. Thank you for that.
We're taxing out our weak internet service we got out here in the rural area, and it's working so far.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I saw the picture of the poster. Very, very cool. I can't wait to get ours.
Oh, it turned out very, very nice, and Eric did an awesome job and put it out for him. And I hope you have a good evening and try to relax like I'm trying to do.
Absolutely, Frankie. And again, give my best to Susie and Aaron, okay?
Will do, and you have a great week.
You too. Thank you so much, Frankie. Frankie, 4 fingers right there. Frankie, the one that discovered the door up on Mount Adams. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Mark from Mexico.
Hey, Mark from Mexico. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Jimmy. Thank you, man. How are you doing?
It's always a great night on the show. It's my birthday. Woohoo!
Yeah, I forgot. I wish you a happy birthday on a happy birthday, man.
Oh, that's why you were calling in. Come on, Mark. Don't play with me.
Yeah, right.
So what'd you think of the show tonight? What'd you think of the show tonight with Anthony Sanchez?
Wonderful guest, wonderful show, wonderful job interviewing him. It was really great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Go ahead.
Okay, so I moved to Mexico about 3 months ago. And, I'm a true believer, right? I don't need to see any UFOs or, I'm not a life experiencer, none of that, right?
Right.
But a couple of nights ago, I'm calling because, I totally get what happened to you when you went to Yosemite, because it happened to me the other night. This place must be magical or something, because I've never wanted to see UFOs before, but about a week ago, I went outside and I said, okay, I'm ready. I said it out loud. And that night there was these dancing orbs, about a dozen of them, all over the quarter of the sky. It was unbelievable. They form into a triangle, then they go to the edge of another cloud and coalesce into one. And this went on for half an hour. And then I saw a star-sized light go halfway across the sky another night. And 2 nights ago, I saw a triangle. I didn't see a ship, but I saw these 3 lights with distinct edges in a triangle. And it just I just looked straight up. It went from 90 degrees, a quarter of the way off, across the sky, maybe 45, 50 degrees. And Jimmy, I held out my arm, and this thing was as big as my thumb, man. And the freakiest thing about it was that it was silent.
And this was what part of Mexico?
Silent. I'm in a town called San Miguel de Allende. It's about 4 hours north of Mexico City.
Okay.
And there are a lot of expats here. It's a really beautiful place. It's a pretty cool place. But I've heard that it's a magical place, and I don't know, man. It was, but I had the same feeling that you described when you came back from Yosemite, when you actually saw one for the first time. I believe, I don't need no stinking badges.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a reference to.
That's the best part about. And Mark, I want to thank you for the phone call, my friend.
You're welcome, man.
And be safe down there. Mexico is a magical place, but the beautiful thing when it happens to you for the first time, that is the moment where you realize that there is something else to this world. There's something else going on, and when you deal with skeptics, or you deal with people that don't want to know. They just don't want to know. And I don't want to go through life like that. There are people out there that don't want to find out. They don't care. They don't even think about it. And living through that closed down lifestyle. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, where you have a window, that's protecting you from the world. You have a wall that is protecting you from the world. And what you don't realize is you may think that you're being safe, right? But you're not closing people off from getting to you, the bad guys. You're not safe behind the glass. You're closing yourself off from everything else. And I don't want to go through life like that. But there are people out there that actually do. And when this type of thing happens to you or to them for the first time, it's a life changer. It's an absolute life changer. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Am I live?
Yeah, you're live right now.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Shane from the VCMD yesterday.
Oh, hey, Shane, how are you, man? Good show.
Yeah, I love this show tonight, and I want Anthony to know that he's not alone in that. A lot of my information has come from the stratosphere, if you know what I mean.
Right.
The energies that be are very dynamic in the human brain. I can actually send you that information, too, to kind of, factualize certain things. One of my buddies actually found out there was he's a scientist down there in Colorado, and he was saying that there is a node inside the human brain that actually is wireless, but we just don't know how to tap into it. And what Anthony said all tonight was very interesting. I really want him to really go forth with what he's doing.
Yeah, he's one of the best, Shane. And the thing is he had the vision and the ability to pull it off, to be able to write code and know what software can do. Also the audio side and how to treat audio signals. So he had all of that going for him. And to develop this software and have the vision to go through to try to make contact, it's extraordinary. The software is mind-blowing, and you should go visit his site. And I do want to encourage him to try and tap into possible ET contact. And to find out if they are communicating with us. Because at the moment of a sighting, and it's going on, and it's going down, and you're looking at some type of craft, plasma, or real, or whatever, and it's above you and a group of people at that moment, I really feel that they are there to say hello. They're feeling the vibe, man. They're copying into that. Right. And at that moment, at that very moment when they flash or they blink or they do something, at that very moment, that's when I want to know if there's communication going down. So I do want to encourage him. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can put you two in contact, too, directly. That's simple enough to do.
That would be amazing, because I love smart people. We had a great show last night, and obviously I listened through the entire show tonight, and it was amazing. And he touched on several points of, humanity and, signal strength, basically, and it is true. A lot of my, like Mark told you in the first place, that, preliminary, sightings of myself that came around to the VCMD and obviously this, Anthony. There are some big things going on in the world, and it is a very great time to invent and also explore our own existence.
Well, that's that's exactly the point. And there are big things on the horizon. I can feel it. Shane, it was a great show last night, and thank you for touching base with us again this evening. I really appreciate it. And the VCMD is going places, and I want to thank you for allowing us to introduce that and you to the world last night. Thank you so much, my friend.
No problem.
Thank you, Shane. That's Shane Seymour, the VCMD from last night with Mark McCandlish. And this software of Anthony's, it needs to go to the ET level. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
You there, Jimmy?
Yes, I'm here. Are you there?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jimmy. Happy birthday to you.
Mel Torme, everybody. Mel Torme stopping by the show. Mel.
No, it's an 80s rocker, baby. Just impersonating.
How you doing, Scott? Everything good?
I'm doing good. Are you ready for tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow. You mean with Tom DeLonge and his stream?
Yes. I'm so excited. I was just listening, I was reading something here, and it says that this Jim Sinivan, he quoted this, he goes, I have come to realize that the phenomenon is curiously multifaceted, exasperatingly complex, and appears to exist both in our consensus reality and in another unknown space. That is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. What do you think is going to be announced tomorrow? I mean, Leslie Kane posted her article over at HuffPost, and I don't think the article was as focused as it could be. You know, I don't know. What do you think is going to be revealed in the live stream?
Knowing Tom DeLonge and the person that he is, I don't think he's going to step out on a ledge if something's not going to be presented. I just feel as though something's going to come out here, whether it's maybe not tomorrow, but maybe they're just going to slowly get this out there for people. I don't think he's going to risk his neck like that. He's just not that kind of a person.
Well, I think he should. I think he should. He knows where I'm coming from. I can assure you, I mean, tomorrow's a big day. I don't know if he's listening to the show right now, but I can assure you he knows my position for him, which is, all right, you've got the momentum going. Don't listen to the people around you. Don't listen to any advice. You know what? Let it all hang out. Whatever it is that you're sitting on right now, let's go. We can handle it. Don't drip. No. Let's go. What is it that you know? I want to see the videos. I want to see the secret information. I want to know about the technology. I want to know what you're going to do with it. I want to know if you're going to just throw it out there to the world. The world wants to know what you're sitting on. And this is the reason why I say that so directly. He has a lot of fans, and I'm talking about the Blink-182 fans. And they may believe in UFOs, they may not, but I can assure you that the vast majority of his fans don't listen to this show. They're not part of the UFO community. And History Channel and Ancient Aliens and Hangar One and all of these shows have been exposing people to the UFO question that are not part of our community. They don't hang out. They're not here in social media. They're not here in Twitter. They're not hanging out on Facebook and listening to this show and coast to coast. And they're not doing that. We've exposed those people to this question now, and Tom has been part of that. So what you do is you take this momentum, you take this thing that has been done, like Stephen Greer and his film Unacknowledged, which is exposing people to the UFO question that have never wondered about it, right? Now, let's go. Let's go. Let's strap, let's put on the seatbelts. Let's throw this thing into fourth gear, push the gas to the floor, and let's go. We are ready for it. Don't beat around the bush. Don't play games. Don't do anything. Let's go. I had said, I don't know if I said it on Fade to Black or Coast to Coast. I might have done it both times, but I know that I said this, which is something very simple. The big announcement, whatever it could be, right? It better not be anything short of, where can Tom take this? Is he going to take us on a video tour on the inside of a flying saucer? Right? Anything short of that? We've already heard this before. We've already heard it before. Right?
Yeah.
We need to take this thing to the next level. And if that's what he's sitting on, bring it, Tom. That's all that I'm saying. Bring it. Bring it. He knows my position. I don't want to play around. I don't want to play around. I just want to go. I'm ready. All right. Hey, Scott, I got to get to these other phone calls, my friend.
Yes, please go. Have a great birthday, Jimmy. Love you, man. You take care.
Hey, man. All right, Mel. Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you. Thank you, Scott. Scott's got some pipes, huh? Scott's got some pipes. All right, let's stay on the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Mate. How you doing?
Hey, Mate Meyer.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm
Happy
doing.
birthday.
Yeah, thank you, my friend. Have you guys dried out? Is everything okay back there?
Yeah, sure. Life is back to normal. Everything is fine here.
Electricity's up. Everything's good.
Yep.
Everything's back to normal in Florida. A lot of destruction, but.
Yeah, but we were really lucky. So we just had some flooding and stuff, and power was on and off, and the trees were down. But we are all good. So
okay,
I'm just worried about you guys over there in California.
Yeah,
is
man.
All fire affecting you at all, or is Burbank is far from there?
Well, see, it is. Anaheim is about. Depends on how you want to get there, but 45-minute drive, half hour, 45-minute drive, no traffic. So I guess 30, 40 miles away south. You can go to the far side, and it might get a little bit further. But basically speaking, it's that close. But the thing is, the Anaheim fires. This is in suburbia. This isn't. Well, it's in the mountains, but there. It's a densely packed. If the fire somehow. Got into those neighborhoods, it would be a bad scene. But then what's going on up there north in Napa Valley, up in north of San Francisco, that is out of control. And again, there's no containment on either side. It's the same thing that we got to do every year when this happens. We have to pray for moist air. We need the marine layer. We need rain. We need all of this. We don't need this really, really hot wind, because the wind it's warm. It's a warm wind, and it's 45-mile-an-hour gust of this hot wind. And it just anyway, we're going to be okay. Okay. It's just the point is, Mate, is that with 4 hurricanes in 6 weeks, right? Earthquakes, fires in Burbank, fires everywhere, fires up north, fires in Shasta, fires in Washington, all across the western United States, earthquakes, the flooding around the world. The weather has dominated the news, and I've never experienced anything quite like this. And just when you thought it was starting to chill out, New Orleans gets hit by a hurricane, and now we've got these fires. It's like it hasn't ended.
And it could be worse. Like maybe next year it's going to be even worse.
No. Next year it's going to be better. Hey, Mate, thank you so much, my friend, for calling in and wishing me a happy birthday. And give my best to baby Martin, okay?
I will. Yeah, he's sleeping. Okay.
I'll talk to
you soon then.
Thank you, Mate.
Okay. Bye. Good night.
Good night. Mate Meyer right there in Miami Beach, Florida, and survived the hurricane. And he wrote it out. That's the crazy thing. He decided to write it out. All right. That concludes another episode of Fade to Black. I want to thank everybody that called in tonight. Anthony F. Sanchez. Another great show. Love it when Anthony is on the air. I just posted up in Twitter all of Anthony's information. It's right there. You got to go check out those Ghost Hunter apps. Amazing. Faded Black's executive producers Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hill J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar, Fady by Dale, Webmaster Drew the Geek. Music Doug Aldrich. Intro Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Tomorrow night, right here, The X-Files, John D'Souza. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tapping.